I've always been fascinated by what really drives marketing careers, and especially how, people find their dream roles. When you're matchmaking someone with their right role and, you're thinking of, okay, when you look at a candidate and then you're looking at a role, maybe what's something that goes on behind the scenes. Yeah.
Understanding the motivation of why someone wants to leave a role, I think that's really important. Is it culture? Is it work-life balance? Is it flexibility? Because effectively, yes, you're matchmaking, and on paper, it might be a perfect fit.
Yeah.
But more and more common now is getting that cultural fit right.
For sure. It sounds like an arranged marriage of the employee and the employer.
Yeah, you're kind of pulling the strings and making sure the expectations are met both ways.
Love it. Yeah. Amazing. Sounds good. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the 7th episode of Charcha by Mitali. Wow, it's been 7 episodes. And that's crazy. And I've always been fascinated by what really drives marketing careers, and especially how, people find their dream roles. So today we're joined by none other than Arnie Gupta, who is the section marketing manager at Hays, and he specializes in connecting marketers with incredible opportunities. He's worked in the UK at Michael Page for 3 years, and now he's in Australia, Sydney, working at Hays as the section manager in marketing.
I've been good. It's been a good day. It's been busy. A lot of meeting candidates, a lot of meeting clients, which is probably the favourite part about the job.
Lovely. That sounds great. The day seems very fancy and fascinating.
It does. You definitely get the days where it's like busy.
Yeah.
And then some other days you're constantly on the phones.
Oh, yeah. So. That's amazing. Sounds good. Are you ready to dive into the podcast?
Let's do it.
Amazing. Let's get going. So first question, really, really curious about this. So you've worked across recruitment for a couple of years now, for a while now. So helping marketers at all stages to, find their dream roles. So what first drew you into recruitment, and especially for marketing?
It's a great question. So I definitely fell into recruitment. It's something that very much revolved around people, and I love working with different people. To be able to make such a difference to someone's life or career. And at the end of the day, it's shaping what they do, where they live, potentially the holidays they go to. It's so rewarding.
Yeah.
And I also love marketing. So I did a lot of marketing, the designing, the websites, all that sort of stuff previously.
Yeah.
And definitely a perk of the role is getting to see people's portfolios, seeing some of the campaigns that they do. I caught the metro the other day and I saw one of the companies that we work with advertising, and I was like, that's so cool.
Yeah, I know.
It's,
just the familiar aspect of, the marketers and, people working in the same sector and, seeing the work, the campaigns, it just fascinates the marketers.
Definitely.
That's all we are, that's all we fall for.
Yeah.
So amazing. That sounds great. The recruitment world itself can be a bit mysterious, from the outside. So for example, me, I really don't know what really happens inside the walls, and what happens when you're matchmaking someone with their right role, and you're thinking of, okay, when you look at a candidate and then you're looking at a role, maybe what's something that goes on behind the scenes. So would love to know what are the behind the scenes moment we as candidates or employers can't see, but you guys do it.
I think you're absolutely hit the nail on the head there, where it is absolutely about matchmaking.
Yeah.
One of the things that I find so important is getting down to understanding what a candidate is looking for.
Yeah.
So often that initially starts off as a phone call, getting to certain parameters, what salary are you looking for, what's important for you. Understanding the motivation of why someone wants to leave a role, I think that's really important. Is it culture? Is it work-life balance? Is it flexibility? What I'll tend to do especially is meet with both the candidates and the clients, and really get to understand what is driving both of those motivations, what the client is looking for. Because effectively, yes, you're matchmaking, and on paper, it might be a perfect fit.
Yeah.
But more and more common now is getting that cultural fit right. How they work with the wider team, how they collaborate, and whether their values really match up. I had a role recently where it was very, very close between two candidates. The deciding factor was really based on those values and what they can bring outside of the typical job description.
Yeah, for sure. It sounds like an arranged marriage of the employee and the employer.
Yeah, you're kind of pulling the strings and making sure the expectations are met both ways.
Love it. Yeah. Amazing. Sounds good. So I think a lot of people, especially who are early in their careers, find job searching really confusing. Some people are saying you should perfect the CV, or someone saying you should, be active on LinkedIn. So what are some of the skills that actually makes a candidate stand out in the market today, like a marketing candidate, as we're focused on marketing today? So what are some of the skills that you would say, or we really want this skill in a candidate, or these skills are nice to haves and these are mandatory?
Yeah, it's a great question.
Yeah.
I think a big importance right now is that human skills, so that those soft skills, and that's being able to work with senior stakeholders, you know, understand more about the target audience, understand and collaborate really with different people. I think one of the skill sets that has been more difficult to find, especially those earlier on in their careers, is that communication skills, working with different stakeholders of different levels. And I think partially that was due to COVID, where that opportunity might be missed. And so it's definitely beneficial to have those communication skills where you can sit down and present and talk through and share those ideas with a wide variety of people.
Okay.
I think that's really, really important. The generation entering the workforce, struggling or don't have as much of right now.
Because that's the COVID generation as well.
Absolutely.
Can we say that?
Yes.
Because they're just in their homes and, you know, being just surrounded by their family members, not doing much, presenting, and, you know, obviously marketing, you need a storytelling aspect to it. You need someone who wants to speak, who is a great communicator. So if in COVID, it was just all not there.
Exactly.
And I think it's that's the generation where that lacks that skill.
That's it. And I think part of that is also having the confidence to ask questions. I think from a hiring manager's perspective, there's nothing harder or worse when, you know, you've got someone who you're training or is starting a new role who isn't asking those questions and then getting stuck 3 months later because they perhaps were too nervous or didn't have the capacity to ask that question at the time. I think asking questions is a great way to grow. And, you know, in those interview processes, when you're looking at roles, it's really important that you've A, done your research, but B, one of the things I always say during that interview process is do your research on a certain bit, whether it might be how long someone's worked in a company, but then ask a question off the back of it. So if they, you know, you've seen a business work on a certain project, asking them what some of the challenges are around that project, because it shows you've got a wider scope. Not just what's in the JD and you've read that, but you've done your research, you understand, and you're curious.
The insides of the company.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it
amazing.
also shows interest.
Yeah, amazing. Do recruiters or employers look at having how many LinkedIn followers someone has, or what's the idea of looking at a great LinkedIn profile
Great
from
question.
a recruiter's perspective?
From a recruiter's perspective, I think having a great LinkedIn profile is definitely a yay. I never look at the followers as such. But I do look at, you know, perhaps where they worked before. On LinkedIn, you can also add the skills that you work in. And that's really useful. If people are doing a recruiter search, they can search those skills. So making sure those are added is really, really key. But also, you know, some of the personal activity, the personal branding, I think that's a huge part of it. You know, I've definitely had people or hiring managers who've gone on their LinkedIn and then said, yes, this is the person I want because of some of the stuff they're active in. Or some of the content that they've been producing. It really builds a bit more character, especially because so much of it is done virtually over the phone, over email. It gives that personality to your profile.
Beautiful. So, Thank you. Thanks for that. Now, Arnie, I think this is the most asked question, and this is the most cliche question everyone has from a recruiter, but you're the boss. What exactly goes in a CV? So what are the things that you actually look in a CV at? Because I've heard that any CV has just 30 seconds to be reviewed. If that. I think right now in the Australian market, you're competing with a lot of candidates and a lot of other applications. And so you've got such a short time span to really make that impact. I think what works really, really well is just having a clear-cut CV. If you're in graphic design, then absolutely have a little bit of a CV that stands out graphically through InDesign or through Canva, however you make it. But effectively, I want to know that where you're based, because we get a lot of CVs for people who aren't in Australia or a million miles away from the role. Oh, wow. Okay.
So that's the challenge.
Why do people do that?
I don't know, but it means there are so many candidates applying for roles, and it means, especially when hiring managers are looking at it, they don't have as much time as a recruiter would.
For sure.
Because they've got their own roles to do. So really being clear in terms of where you're based, what your experience is. I think one of the key things is having that industry at the top. So I always love to see and again, everyone's personal preference is slightly different, but I love to see a bit of an opening paragraph or a summary about that person. The industry that they've worked in, perhaps how many years experience.
Profile summary.
Profile summary. And, you know, just talking about perhaps a couple of career highlights. What's really important for me next is seeing that work experience. Some people put skill competencies, that's fine, but what I'm drawn to is where you've previously worked at.
Yeah, okay.
The biggest successes right now are placing people in almost their competitor or industry adjacent roles.
Yeah.
So for example, if you've had a history working in the tech space, your next role is most likely going to be in the tech space again. So I want to know where you're working and what that title was. Another really important part that I love is, yes, you have the job title, the responsibilities, but underneath that, having maybe 2 or 3 achievements is crucial. If you could put numbers to it, whether it's increase in engagement, maybe it's 10% return on this, I think that's really, really powerful. And it
so
really
metrics are important.
Metrics, absolutely, So having that data there makes me go, oh, you've done your job, but actually you've gone above and beyond. Here's how you've tracked it.
For sure.
Yeah, and then no more than 2 pages.
Oh, really?
Ideally.
Okay, so work experience and telling what exactly you've done each job, and then do you want where they've started? Because a lot of people put their education in their CVs as well.
Education is important, especially earlier in your career. I think it's vital to have. What you tend to see is your most recent role will have the most information because it's most relevant. And then as you go back in time, even when, with my senior candidates, I will say, as soon as it goes beyond 10 years, either put the job title and when you work there and the company, but then that's it. Or for some people, I just say leave it out entirely. Like the stuff that's important are probably most 2 recent roles.
Okay, amazing. That's great advice, and I hope anyone who's watching us would definitely take that into account, because I think it's really important to have a great CV at the end of the day. It's cliche, but it's important. So, Arnie, also you talked about industry being, if you're in a tech industry, your next role is probably going to be in tech, right? So my question is, if there is someone starting early in their careers, how are they supposed to know the deeper knowledge about the industry and highlight those specific things? I do understand that JD is an important part, and you obviously have a look at the JD, but then if someone's an early career starter, how are they meant to understand this and look at the industry and go about it?
I think initially, just to start off with, the market is really tough. It's improving, but it's definitely been a tough couple of years, and getting into the marketing industry is challenging. So I firstly want to acknowledge that. And I think where a lot of wins are being made is through that network, having a good network, and that might be done through LinkedIn, that might be done through branding, it might be done through family, friends, or one of the things I remember doing when I wanted to go into marketing consultancy was, almost cold calling companies and offering services for free or a taster or things like that to build that network. It is difficult. I think if you've got any hobbies that overlap, that can be really, really valuable. But again, if you're looking at those entry-level roles and you're getting to the interview stage, I think the biggest thing that you can do is do your research. Whenever I do interview prep for my candidates, it's telling them, it's giving them the opportunity to ask questions, but in a way that's expressing your knowledge. So for example, I might already know that my hiring manager has been in the company for 5 years, and I might know that they've worked on this project. So I might say, during your 5 years here, what are the challenges, what has changed? Or I might reference a big piece of work or a project that company have done. And what it will show the hiring manager or the interviewer is, that you've done your work.
And then you're interested in the company and actually want to know what goes behind the scenes and what's actually in there, rather than just just looking at the top things on it, just on GD. But I agree. It's important to dive deeper into something and obviously do your research before going for an interview.
Definitely. It makes you stand out as a candidate.
Yeah, for sure.
And it leaves a lasting impression.
Yeah, 100%. Amazing. Thank you for that. We have seen marketing roles have been evolving really quick. And for early or middle careers or even senior roles, we're seeing lots of changes going on in the market. So what are some types of positions which are actually in demand in Australia at the moment, and what are the trends that we're seeing at the moment?
Yeah, great question. So I think the last couple of years we saw a lot of mid to senior levels have those redundancies and those restructures. Thankfully, they are coming back now. We're definitely a lot more optimistic, and over the last couple of weeks and months alone, we've seen that market go up. One of the places
Thank God.
it was a tough couple of years. One of the things that I've personally prioritized myself is in that bid space. So they're called submissions.
Yeah.
A lot of the time I see graphic designers. What you tend to get with graphic designers is a bit of a cap in terms of earning potential. Usually there's probably a cap around 100K, and then getting beyond 120K as well can be quite challenging. Where I see a real demand in role is that submission space. And this is where your role is to really showcase and promote a company in terms of winning projects. So for example, if the government wanted to build a new bridge to cross the harbour, businesses would effectively pitch or share their submissions on why they should win that project. As a marketer, it's your job to write really well. And we're seeing a lot more in that visual space, so using InDesign to make stunning submissions to try and win that work, and also make sure that that content is digestible.
And it stands out.
Especially because you're competing for projects worth millions of dollars.
For sure.
And I think that's the other thing within that space is data driven, and roles where you can showcase the return on investment is crucial. So if you're able to showcase, the stuff that your campaigns can do, you become, unfortunately, far more valuable because you can put a dollar sign almost to your work.
Yeah, but sometimes it's a bit hard in tracking marketing campaigns as well, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, just coming back to submissions, can you just explain our audience what exactly submissions is?
Yeah, great question. So if I go to the example where the government would like to build a new bridge to cross the harbour, the government might put out a tender. And if you're a business that built bridges, or you're in architecture and you said, this is the project I want to go for, your role as a submissions coordinator, a bid coordinator, submissions manager would be to gather content that you've done of previous successful work. So you might have built a bridge in Brisbane, for example, and it was really successful. And your role is really to showcase the business in a good light. So, sharing photos, sharing testimonials, sharing the impact that you've had, perhaps talking about sustainability. And really, a submission could be anywhere from, 40 pages to 200 pages.
Wow.
So
never thought of it.
It can be really intense.
It's a long portfolio. Can we say that? It's a long, elaborated, and very in detail portfolio.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And what's really important is understanding who your client is.
So
if sustainability is the big piece, showcasing your company's ability to meet that need.
And focusing on CSR and these aspects.
Yes.
For sure. Wow, that was very interesting. I was not aware about that submission. So thank you.
And it's something I've learned over the last year as well.
So it's been more in demand in the last year?
Definitely. Okay. There's definitely a lot more hiring demand. And I think there is still a talent shortage in that space.
Okay.
So if you're in the bid space, you're very highly valued at the moment. And, there's a lot, especially over the last 3 or 4 weeks, I've seen a lot of businesses strategically hire.
What kind of businesses are hiring for these roles? Can I ask?
Great question, So a lot of them are architecture firms and design practices. I've had a number in the construction space and then also in the engineering space. I haven't focused on, but the tech sector will also hire for people in submissions and the service industry as well. So what I'm seeing right now is architecture firms invest in their bid talent. So that often falls under a marketing team.
Love it.
Reporting to a head of marketing quite often. And the purpose of that is to win the work so that once they win those tenders, which are often worth millions of dollars,
beautiful,
they can expand their teams and invest.
Wow. So everyone who's in architecture, bidding, graphic design, go for it. We know how AI is, forming a big part of the industry today, and it's growing every day. You blink your eye and something's come in, and it's a big industry, and it's evolving really, really quick as marketing is. But as you said, there have been some redundancies, and there have been some problems like. So, do you think it's AI is taking a place of a human?
Good question.
Yeah.
In ways, yes. I think it's a tool.
Sad to hear, but okay.
Yeah, I think it's more so as a tool. I think the people who are leveraging AI and using it as a tool are going to benefit in the long term. I think what it undoubtedly will do over the next 5 years is it will shrink the number of people that you need in a team. So for example, where you might have needed a copywriter, a graphic designer, part of a marketing team, I think those roles will be down more so to one person who understands it and is able to leverage the tools and the efficiencies that AI does bring. I think it goes without saying that I feel like a lot of businesses aren't training people as such on AI. It's a tool that's given to you,
Yeah.
but you don't necessarily have the education on how to use it.
Yeah.
And so there's definitely going to be more mistakes before we start seeing it at least talked about more mainstream. I think a lot of businesses use it, but they don't think they necessarily voice that they use it.
Yeah. Yeah, amazing. Because I read in some Harvard case study, and I was reading this article from Harvard Business School, that AI won't take a place of a human, but it will. Your job will be taken by someone who knows how to use AI.
Yes, that's it.
Exactly.
And I can definitely...
What's the one shift that we are after? We can look ahead in the next 5 years. Is it just AI or something more?
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah.
I wish I could. I think short term, at least within the Australian market, I can definitely see a shift towards a little bit more market confidence, more investment.
Yeah.
I think there will be, I guess, more customized AI tools. I think there'll be more agents where we almost train them to be or represent a digital version of ourselves.
Yeah.
And I think because AI is constantly learning, you know, the way I use the AI tools that we have is almost teaching them what my role is and what my tone of voice is and things like that. And I think that will definitely be a big part of it.
Wow.
As for the next 5 years, I have no idea. I wish I knew. I imagine there'll be lots of changes.
Yeah.
I imagine there'll be lots of technological advancements.
Yes.
I think recruitment will be very different.
Yeah.
We've already seen a lot of big businesses, even here in Sydney, who use AI for that first round of screening, sometimes even the full recruitment process, which I think is quite scary. I think AI will definitely be a tool used more in interviews as well.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Yeah, so we've definitely seen companies where they use an AI bot almost to conduct the interview, at least for a first stage.
Wow.
Which is crazy.
Never heard of it.
No,
wow.
Yeah, it's definitely newer, but
Oh, wow.
some businesses have invested in that. I think what's really important is having that human interaction, because
For
there are
sure.
tools and ways that people can and will leverage.
At the end of the day, human is a human, right?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So before we close this podcast, I want you to give me one piece of advice for everyone out there looking for their next opportunity.
Great question. I think it's going to be industry focused and using that network. I think that's so core when the market is harder.
Yeah.
It's about who you know. It's potentially, you know, going back and seeing where your old colleagues have moved to, or perhaps in previous companies, you know, where people have, which businesses that they've gone to. I think that's really, really powerful. Yeah. Because it's a small world.
Yeah.
We'll often end up working in a similar industry or working with people we've worked with before. So I think leveraging that network is crucial and definitely a piece of advice I would say to follow.
Amazing. Thank you. Thank you so much, Arnie, for joining us today. I think it was a great conversation, such a great piece of advice regarding CVs and even being industry focused. And I think it's really important for everyone starting out to be focused on the industry, the JD. Obviously, look at the JD and be particular about your CV, because actually it's you. CV is you before the company actually sees you.
Absolutely.
So thank you for that. And it was a great conversation. And thank you for coming into our podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much.